Qualifying is done here. Friday of the VALO Adelaide 500. Really quick lap times. Exciting qualifying session, which went right down to the wire with the quickest laps we've ever seen. I'm asking a nice long question here to make sure that Chaz has plenty of time to just swallow down some dinner, some hard-earned carbs. Chaz, big energy. I was actually standing in your garage when that lap time came up. And the vibe down there was awesome, really positive vibe down there. Can you give us a bit of background as to why that one meant so much? Not even an official poll yet.
Yeah, I think the last year or so, Achilles' heel for us has been qualifying. There's been rounds where we've popped up, and it's been this year. I don't think I've really felt like that we deserve kind of pole, even though, like you said, top 10's tomorrow, and it's way too early to count your chickens for a hatch. But it was just fun. It was just fun to know that got the most out of myself, and the car responded well, and then to top a session, I think it's always pretty special. And I think this weekend, especially for our team, and Holden obviously finishing up, in motorsport the end of this year with the livery, and it's hard not to get caught up in those small little session wins that you do have. So it's just really cool to reward the guys, from practice yesterday, Arvo, to where we ended up with the car. It's a lot different than what we normally would run. So just a credit to the hard work it feels very early in the weekend. You had 2 practice sessions to get it right with such a new track and what it requires. So, it's hard not to get caught up in the emotion.
How much fun was it going max attack again around this place?
Yeah, well, when I did the first lap on the first set of tyres and we did 19s, I think it was, I was like, whoa, that's it, you know what I mean? And then I think some people did some runs in the middle there, and Adam's like, oh, everyone's going quick, and I'm thinking, wow, go quicker around here. That's going to be pretty tough. But I think when you saw the DVS qualifying, they were mid-19s, you knew that we were going to have to get into the 18s. So 18.6, I was super stoked with that, but I actually thought people would have gone quicker. So just how the year has panned out for us in qualifying. So, it was pretty cool to get into the top 10. That was the focus, and it's nice to be the last guy out tomorrow to see what everyone else does. And well, I'm sure we'll all be pushing it to the walls and scraping mirrors off and putting on the show for all the people that come out here, because a lot of people have missed this event. And I'm sure these 2 guys beside me will keep me really honest tomorrow, and they'll do something spectacular out there as well.
It took you 2 push laps to get that number out of it. Can you do it in just the 1 lap tomorrow in a shootout?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what everyone else's plan was, tyre-wise things. I felt, because we've changed the car so much from session to session, that, the first lap I probably didn't get quite as much out of it, trusting it. But then the second had a real go. But I think it's always a thing here, and I think it's most tracks we go where there's such a critical corner, for turn 1 or 2. Your second lap, I don't know if it's temperature or confidence as a driver or know what grip you've got, but you always leave something at that first chicane here. Every year you do for your first lap, even though the tyre might be best for the rest of the lap. But the second lap, you always magically find another 10th or a 10th and a half, just because you kind of know what you've got under you. So maybe tomorrow we'll just have to close our eyes on that first lap and see if we come out the other side.
Can't wait. Good job. Anton, great effort from yourself today. It looked like in the earlier practice times that you were still trying to find where that speed was, and then bang, right when you needed it, it was there. Is that a fair statement, or were you pretty confident that you had what it took to get inside the shootout today?
It definitely got better as the day went on. After practice, I think we were somewhere around the top 10. I didn't think we had enough pace to be up here, but I sort of gave Luda my wish list and then jumped in the car 3 hours later and it was a bit better. So, he made some good changes. We'll go through all that tonight and see if we can replicate that and make it better tomorrow. With the new surface and knowing what we know previous years here, sort of out a fair bit out the window. So we're trying to find things and just sort of unlock that grip, because there's heaps of grip out there. It's just, it comes and goes pretty quickly. So just trying to keep all that grip under the car for the whole lap is quite a mission, but we managed to do it for 1 lap today, so we'll try and do that tomorrow.
Unusual thing about this event, we have a qualifying session, then a practice session, then the shootout. Only other place we get that is Bathurst. Will that change how you approach practice tomorrow?
It's got a bit of Bathurst vibes about it, which is pretty cool. It doesn't change practice, I think, too much for us. We generally plan to try and make the shootouts anyway, and that sort of comes into our plan. It's plan A anyway, but we'll always end that last practice tomorrow with a shootout sim. See what you got under you. Obviously, it's going to be very different weather and stuff tomorrow, very hot. So I don't know if we're going to get 18s and that kind of grip out of the car, but we'll get an idea in practice and then try and replicate that in the shootout and then go into the other.
Good job, mate. Well done.
Thank you.
Scott, Team 18. Wow, you guys are quick here this weekend, and that wasn't just that 1 lap that you just did then. It seems to be all the sessions you've rolled out. The car's been pretty good. Is that How you feel from where you're sitting?
Yeah, for sure. The guys have done a good job. The moment you rolled out the transport, the car was fast, and Frosty as well. Not sure what happened with his lap there, but he was really quick as well. But yeah, stoked to be in the shootout tomorrow and obviously be close to the pointy end. I think we've got a really strong car, and around here it's all about confidence. So, you know, that one lap, I don't think there's anyone that's, well, there might be. I actually haven't really looked too closely, but pumping that first lap time out is a challenge around here. And for us, I think I did 19.1 and then the 18.8 on my second lap. So, you know, that at the end of the day, everyone gets one crack at it, and if that's a 19.1 and that's, you know, relative to everyone else, then it's a good lap. But we'll just see tomorrow. And yeah, it's cool though to be back here. It's been 2 very long years. The Butterflies, you know, coming back here were like the first time ever, just because I don't think I've looked forward to an event like this in a very long time. It means so much to me as an SA boy growing up here to be back here. For my mum to be just around the corner and be able to come watch this weekend is very special. So, yeah, you know, getting a lap to myself tomorrow is really important to me. But it's funny how quickly that feeling goes out the window when you haven't got pole. So hopefully tomorrow we you know, can stick it up the pointy end and have a really solid race tomorrow.
Do you ever get a moment given that it's a special one for you back at home and a shootout lap, where you get a moment maybe even on the out lap to just soak it in for a second?
Oh, not really. Like, I heard drivers saying they can, you know, they do or whatever, but as soon as the helmet goes on, it's kind of like you forget the outside world and you just try and do the very best job you can. It's only a few minutes of time you've got, so you're just fully focused on that. But where I've noticed it here before was I'll never forget the first time I raced here. You get out the grid for the 30-minute signal on the front straight. Grandstand's full, and it's an atmosphere that's not really comparable to anywhere else we go. I don't think the grandstand, just the way it's set up, as a driver, it's a very special feeling. So that's usually the moment. Hopefully, you know, if you're up the pointy end, it's a lot fuller grid and it's a much better feeling. So, but the shootout is all about, you know, trying to maximise the car. There's 10 very fast drivers and fast cars out there. So, yeah, no mistakes tomorrow, hopefully, and we can be somewhere thereabouts.
This is going to be a hard one to answer, but I had a Supercars fan ask me on Twitter, how close do the cars really get to the wall at the outside of turn 8? So in the shootout, I imagine it's going to be as close as you'll be all weekend. How close do you think you're actually getting to that fence there?
I don't know.
Millimetres,
I don't really look out
inches?
the passenger window, but sometimes you break into 9 and you see that the mirror's folded in, so it must have been pretty close. But this whole lap, I mean, it's like Chaz said, first lap through the first chicane. You know, it doesn't look that risky because the walls aren't that close, but the first chicane's one you're even building up to. So this entire track is high risk, and I think that most of us will probably be fair to say our last lap we did today is the most attack we've done around here all weekend, because you know that lap's going to be the lap. You got to be, as the track was evolving there, was crazy, so you knew that last lap you had to be on track for. No mistakes until then, and then just hang it on the line, and if you keep it at the wall at 8 and hopefully finish the lap.
Perfect. Thank you, mate. We have a microphone down the front, and we are going to share it amongst the journos. Or this one too.
Chaz, we've been looking forward to this, but the new track surface, how are you finding it rubbering up? I know in years past you've had Carrera Cup with their tyres, and then you guys have had some compatibility issues. Are you finding every time you're going out it's getting a better and better grip surface for you, or is it still very shaky from time to time?
Yeah, I'd say yesterday's practice, the track was really dusty. So it was kind of one line around, but it's been cleaning up pretty good. I think where you saw the runoff at turn 9, anyone that went off in the first practice yesterday, it's like they disappeared in a cloud of dust. So it's cleaning up, and I think that's one thing. But obviously a fresh surface with no grip down is obviously making it go quicker too. So I think the weekend will only build more and more. And with this surface, it seems to be hanging onto the grip. So it's not really seemed to be marbling. It's just kind of grabbing it, and the cars seem to be going faster and faster. So as us, and I'm sure drivers and teams, we're all going to keep chasing those conditions, because I think where our car is at the moment is probably not where it still needs to be, say, by Sunday morning. So, yeah, we'll just have to keep trying to adapt with the times.
Question to all three of you. There's been a lot of offs at turn 13, mainly in the support categories. Do you guys have any, why do you think that's been such a tricky corner this weekend? And the second part, while I've got the microphone, is do you think Shane can make a decent comeback after starting last, or is he out of the picture?
Start with Chaz in the middle. Turn 13 first.
He's gone. Nah, it's just... it's Shane. So that one, you've seen comeback drives from him. Unbelievable. I'm sure he'll have a good car underneath him tomorrow. that thing's been pretty fast in a straight line. So I'm sure he'll make he'll make some work of some people. Hopefully we're all starting far enough up the front that he doesn't catch us, but we'll see how tomorrow goes. I think 13 for me, I would say, because the grip level is up so much and we're going pretty faster through there than what we normally have, I've noticed that sometimes you get a bit greedy with the curb and you get a real bad double bounce out of there. By the time it recovers, because there is so much grip than other years, you're almost too late by the time the car settles and you're already in the grass. So it's about, you can be aggressive, but by just turning in that too early, it seemed that for me, I thought I had a couple of moments there early in the first practice today. So maybe that could be a thing.
Anton, would it surprise you at all if you looked in the mirrors and saw car 1 at some stage in 250 k's tomorrow?
Hasn't really crossed my mind. I sort of try and do my own race, and if he's faster, then yeah, probably. But if he's not, then not. I don't know. That's sort of how motor racing goes. He'll be fast. I mean, he's probably been the fastest to this point. And in race trim, we know that thing grabs another gear. So yeah, we wouldn't be surprised. But 25th's a long way back too. So we'll see. It depends how the race pans out, safety cars and all that stuff. Who knows?
And Scott turned 13, been very tricky. We've seen a few cars even in the fence down there. It's sort of where Shane half got himself unstuck. Why that part of the track this weekend?
Yeah, I think even turn 9 is tricky because we're all getting pretty greedy on the brakes. But 13, yeah, like Chaz said, I think that double bounce is pretty evil. The track generally, I think the balance of the car, a car that generally has a lot of turn is struggling here more than one that maybe has less at other places, just because the track has so much grip that you're picking up a lot of front end and the car's turning really well, which makes it nervous. And I think off the curb there as well, I think some cars are struggling with a bit of braking instability, which means you carry the brake a little bit too far into the corner, and once you've locked that inside front, there's just no forgiveness in that corner. So yeah, I mean, I just saw what happened before. It's obviously happened to a lot of people. Yeah, it's just is what it is. It's a tricky place to get right, and the main thing is you want to be there at the end. And when you make a mistake like that, I'm sure he'll be kicking himself because that lap probably would have been eclipsed the next lap. So it's like the wet. You got to stay out there if the track's evolving, and yeah, it's just a tough place though. It's high risk, high reward, and in qualifying when everyone's so fast, that even the very last lap you did, you don't know if it's going to be good enough because everyone is right on it, and the times are so close. So you're pushing. There's nothing left on the table, I don't think, and that's why this track we see some mistakes like that.
Given that we're ending this year with back-to-back street races, and we're starting next year with another one, can I get your opinions on the 23 calendar, in that we've lost a number of permanent road courses, Winton and Queensland Raceway. Do you think that the direction should be more on this road course or back on street circuits again, or what's your feeling about it? Chaz?
I think there's a couple of key events and formats that are missing still from the calendar. I think it's obviously upsetting that we're not going back to New Zealand. I think what we saw this year at Pukekohe, the fan following over there is second to none. I think the attendance at Pukekohe was unbelievable. Obviously, we can't go there, but I would have expected to at least be going over there to another circuit to service those fans that watch us most weekends from over the ditch. The one thing that's crazy for me is Gold Coast is still not an endurance race. We used to love that Enduro Cup, the 3 rounds, depending how your championship was going. You'd put so much focus to yourself instead of just Bathurst and Sandown. They're all key milestone events, but to also get that Enduro Cup was something that was I thought was pretty special, to try and put those 3 rounds together to try and get enough points to try and win that as well. So, look, I'm sure we'd love a calendar had 20 tracks on it and we all raced around. But yeah, it's I feel like the heyday of the 14 to 15 events was really, really good. Like this last race for us, we had a month off before we come here, and there was similar type gaps throughout the year to keep rolling on. So some are really tight, some are really spread out, but I'm sure all of us just want to race as much as we can and put the best show on we can. But there's still some things I think we need to get out of the mind of recovering from COVID and bite the bullet and get back to where this category was great.
Chaz said it pretty well. I think a couple more endurance races would be good. And touching on that, obviously the Gold Coast, I only got to do it a couple of times, but it was a pretty cool endurance race. Sandown as well. But yeah, in saying that, New Zealand's going to be a big loss because it was such a cool event going back there after a couple of years, and the reception we got when we were there was amazing. So we have a huge following there, and a lot of them travel over to Australia to watch as well. So ideal world, we head back there sooner rather than later. But yeah, in saying that, I mean, if we went to every track in Australia as well, it would be pretty good. But we can't do that. We're obviously missing a lot of good ones out there, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, the guys summed it up really well. I think Winton's one that, for me, is, kind of the lifeblood of our sport. Is you see the turnout we get there. I love the idea of, kids being able to go with family and camping there. It's got that sort of atmosphere that's unique and never struggles to draw a crowd. So I think that's probably one track as well, which might surprise people that I wish we were going back to, because that's really the heartland of supercars right around there. And yeah, that's cool. I mean, Pukekohe, of course, like that was surreal. That event was unbelievable, the amount of people that turned out for that. Street circuits, I think, are awesome. Personally, they're favourites of mine just because of the nature of the circuit, and like this place is so close to the city, so the atmosphere, draws a crowd that maybe we wouldn't otherwise see. Eyeballs to our sport is always great when you can get new ones. But I understand as well, there's still, staff is tough at the moment. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. Finding crew is a challenge, and after COVID, I think a lot of people struggle with time away from family. So there's definitely that aspect as well, which I can appreciate, where our crew spent a lot of time on the road away from family and friends, and COVID was tough on a lot of people. So the 12 events, I'm sure maybe that was part of the consideration there. So it's tough on the teams. As drivers, I mean, on the road for COVID was some of the best racing experience I've ever had in my whole career, because you just get to race the car regularly. I'm sure all of us, if you asked us the same question, we just want to race every week. But there's more to it, unfortunately, but there's definitely a few key events that I'll miss not being on the calendar next year.
Scott, I guess, you said confidence is, important around here. You guys have, in particular, Car 20 side, Sandown, Pukekohe, Gold Coast, I guess, A, what's sort of changed, what's going right, and B, I guess if you can get yourself some good track position tomorrow, how important would that be to try and turn that into a race result?
Pardon? Yeah, I don't know. It's just qualifying's been quite good lately. I mean, that's been something I wanted to focus on a lot. Frosty's great in qualifying, so it's been awesome to have a teammate that's really made me lift there. I think his consistency is something that I've had to rise to, and that's probably where maybe some of the performance gains come from. And then as a team, I think, Krusty, we did the engineering change last year, and I think it's been good. We're starting to work really well together. Our street circuit car is obviously strong, but some of the places we've been to, since really Townsville, we've been quite strong. But yeah, I don't like to say it's like bad luck. It just hasn't really gone our way. Like you obviously make your own luck, and I've made plenty of mistakes this year, which I kick myself for. But all you can do is keep turning up on Saturday and Sunday, and do the best job I can. This weekend we've got a great car, so my job is to go out there, put a lap down that is the best that I can do, and maximise the car that the crew have given me this weekend, because it is a bloody good car, and I don't want to waste that. So I got 2 races this weekend, 2 qualifyings, and I want to be at the front this weekend and try and get a trophy.
Guys, thank you. I think Chaz has a live commitment in about 7 minutes' time, so we'll let you guys get out of here. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow.